Well, what a wonderful thick and fog day to you, survivor who's cleansed and is therefore destroy your teammates' hopes of winning. My name is Bricky, and welcome to the Dead by Daylight case file featuring the Plague, or better known as Vommy Mommy. The Plague is our oldest killer in terms of overarching timelines, as she is way back in the Babylon days. You remember that old joke used in elementary school? Your mama is so old she sat behind Jesus in the 3rd grade. Well, Adiris, the high priestess of Babylon, was your mama. At 5 years old, she was abandoned and left at the steps of the Temple of Purgation in Babylon. She lived in quiet servitude of the temple for many years, holding on to the ideal that God has a plan for her. She worked tirelessly and constantly with the priests, carrying out purification rituals more and more frequently. Why purification? Well, a plague had begun ravaging Babylon and took the priests' lives, leaving her to do the purification alone, and she did it gladly. After donning the gold and jewels found in the crypt of the temple, she became the new high priestess of Babylon. People bowed as she strode by, sickly and ill, but her faith unchallenged, thanks to their new priestess. During her reciting of the epic of creation, a woman fainted in the back and was revealed to have black blisters on her feet. In defiance of the plague, Adiris offered her toe to God in exchange for making that woman well again. God said, "Nah, bitch, I'm good, but I'll keep your toe though." Adiris' faith was challenged once she saw signs of the plague herself. She began wearing a headpiece and carrying an incense censer to mask the incense censer. Wow, that is hard. To mask the signs of infection, but this of course could be in vain, or would be in vain. Her prayers unanswered and in great shame, she banished herself from the city and with her fellow followers traveled north looking for answers. They walked and walked until they couldn't walk anymore. Taking shelter in a damp cave, Adiris and her followers joined in one final prayer. In pools of vomit, rotting flesh and pus, they reached out for God one last time to save their souls. A God answered, but not the God she had hoped for. And now, Adiris is the Plague. On a killer scale though, Adiris might be the most did nothing wrong killer out of the bunch. I mean, the spirit did nothing wrong, but this bitch literally chopped her toe off to help someone in need. Plus, she was like hot as hell before everything went to shit or fell off of her. So the Plague's base stats are those of a 115 movement speed killer. Normal speed, normal lunge, 32-meter terror radius, the usual kind of stuff. She doesn't have any real differences in her base kit. As for the Plague's power, it's called Vile Purge. Holding down the power button will charge her power and decrease her movement speed slightly. She then sprays a stream of vomit that will infect objects as well as survivors hit by it. The more of the vomit a survivor is struck by, the faster they will get sick. They will also get sick faster by running or doing actions and can apply the sickness to other survivors nearby. At maximum sickness, the survivor will constantly puke, showing their location, as well as applying the broken status effect. They can only cleanse this effect by visiting various pools of devotion scattered across the map. These pools will heal you to full, but will become a new corrupt pool for the Plague. If the Plague goes to the pool and activates it, their vomit will become Corrupt Purge and damage the survivor instead of just making them sick, drastically increasing her power for about 60 seconds at base. That's the Plague's very gross power. So how do you play the Vommy Mommy? Well, unpopular opinion maybe, I'm not a big fan of the Plague. Her lore is great, her aesthetic is amazing. Art department needs big props. Behavior art department, good job. You guys almost always do well, but definitely good job with this one. But I do find her gameplay to be a bit boring. If you want to play the Plague effectively, it's very straightforward. Find a survivor, puke on them until they reach the broken status effect, then whack their ass with your sensor and hook them. Then you just kind of rinse and repeat on each survivor. How your gameplay changes depends entirely on what rank survivor you're fighting. The Plague is a mediocre killer when nobody cleanses her sickness, but a damn well strong one when people do. Most decide to just stay in the broken status effect all game because giving her Corrupt Purge is simply too powerful. They'd rather loop a normal mouse 1 killer all game since she can't do anything else to them than risk giving her Corrupt Purge and being able to wipe a team in an instant. Corrupt Purge is insanely good. Like, ridiculously good. If it wasn't on a timer, it would be the most broken move in the game, and people know this, which is why they won't cleanse. However, if you're fighting new survivors who aren't amazing at the game, then yeah, you're probably gonna slaughter them because they don't know not to cleanse. But if they don't cleanse, you're just doing the same strategy, puking on people until they get injured and then whacking them. Rinse and repeat. Or in this case, don't rinse because we don't want her to have corrupt purge. That's a joke. If you want advanced strats, it's probably early game based. Puking on objects infects them for 35 seconds at base, so it can be useful to smack a generator, then puke on it in order to discourage any survivors from getting back to it. Also, rescuing an infected survivor from the hook will also infect them, so it will help you gain knowledge on who's rescuing who at times. There isn't too much to say about the Plague. I won't say I don't like her, but her playstyle just doesn't mesh with me well. It might if it was more complex, but with a lack of map pressure, she will probably always be a decent bit far away from top tier unless some changes are made to her. What should those changes be? I have no idea. I have a feeling she will just be in this mid-tier hell for a long time before she sees any adjustments, and that's a damn shame because she's an awesome concept and I really love her character design. But mid-tier hell she'll stay for quite a bit. Anyway, let's discuss Vommy Mommy's teachables. Discount Ruin, Discourage the Flashlights, and the Evil Survivor. Corrupt Intervention is probably the third best gen perk besides Ruin and Pop Goes the Weasel. It's actually a pretty wonderful perk for killers who lack map pressure because it makes the playable zone much smaller, at least for the beginning of the game. It's pretty great and you don't need to deal with RNG like Ruin. So if your killer lacks map pressure, I'd say this is a pretty good option if you don't want to run Ruin. Infectious Fright is one of those perks that could be broken on paper, but luckily it's not too bad. When you down a survivor, everyone in your terror radius will scream, showing that mini aura effect you see with Rancor or Iron Maiden. If this perk was the actual survivor's aura, it would probably be way too good, but this keeps it in line. It's particularly fun on the Doctor, but you probably won't trade anything great for this. It's fine. It's a fine perk. Finally, Dark Devotion is actually a perk I really like. Hitting an obsession will transfer a 32-meter terror radius to them for max 30 seconds and reduce yours to 0. Having 0 terror radius is actually really awesome and fun. Plus, it makes them freak out their friends sometimes. You can cause a lot of discourse with this perk. I just wish the tooltip was better. It's a bit confusing to see how long it's on the obsession and how long it's not, or how much is left. It's really weird. How it lights up and stuff. Some small quality of life stuff on the bottom right hand corner by all your perk slots would be super nice. But for now, it's pretty fun. Guilty pleasure, but fun. For perks good on the Plague, I suggest Corrupt Intervention as well as perks like Discordance and really anything that stops generators. You're going to have to deal with your massive lack of map pressure. If it stops gens, use it. Basically, if everyone's broken, no one is healing. No one is healing, everybody is doing generators. So you gotta go ahead and get that done fast, or at least stop them from getting it done fast. If you're fighting a Plague, perks that benefit you when injured are super nice. No Mither can be used to great effect too, since you're always injured regardless. Probably the only killer that no Mither is kind of a counter towards. Weird. For Plague add-ons, increasing Purge effectiveness is #1. It lowers the time you need to puke on them to get your full effect. Also, infection time on objects is nice for the same reason I mentioned before. I unfortunately don't have a meme build for you today. I got sick of writing them. Finally, we have the Plague's Mori, as sick as a 19 skateboard kid. So that's the case file on Vommy Mommy. She's okay. Mediocre when you don't cleanse, pretty good when you do. She lacks map pressure. I wish her sickness was more interactive, but for now she's just that. Okay. Art team needs a raise though. They're doing damn good. If I had to offer any advice to make her better, I'd say give the survivors more incentive to cleanse and make the cleanse power a little bit less. I want them to cleanse. I want to be able to use my ability. But if it's so powerful, I understand why it's kind of rough. Perhaps something to give her map pressure as well. I'm not sure. Some kind of deal like that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and as per the usual, you can pick up the Dr. Shock Tea for 10% off using code STAB at checkout. Check out the description for that, and I will see you on our next case file on Ghostface, or better known as the Teabag Boy. Goodbye.